Okay, so here's the thing we're not considering.
Okay.
We're always like, Selena can't be the best assassin. What if all the other assassins legitimately suck?
Okay, and we are back for chapter 28 of 29 that we need to get through. I would say that we are starting today with... Well, not starting today. This is our second chapter of the day. It's been a long time, though. It feels like it's starting. But we are concluding reading this section for book club by consuming boba while reading. No, I will not tell you where it's from.
No.
Just go and enjoy some boba, everyone.
Yeah.
Support boba in general. Oh, I just popped a boba in my mouth, and now the skin is stuck to the top of my mouth. I'm supposed to be reading, too. Obviously.
But before you start reading, let me get my spray bottle out. Give it a little spritz.
She's going to spritz it. Tia's once again working on watercolors.
Something.
Are those watercolors?
No.
Are they gouache?
No.
What are they? I mean, you get them wet.
Guess.
Watercolor.
Guess.
That was my first guess.
That's what you get when you don't say it with confidence.
I am, though. I'm having... I guess it's not a boba tea, I guess, because it's not milk. But it does have boba in it.
Well, no, it's still a tea. It's just not a milk tea.
Oh, it's just not a milk tea? Anyways, it's like strawberry glitter. Well, not glitter, because it doesn't have glitter. Galaxy, that's what it's called. It's got strawberry, and I've got, like, mango-flavored popping boba. It's a nice combination. It's a solid combination. You going to let anyone know what you're drinking? Tia?
I got a brown sugar caramel milk tea. It's totally mid. Like, I don't care for it very much. I'm still gonna drink the whole thing. Make no mistake. But like, I would have I should have just gotten my regular taro milk tea.
No, we gotta try different things.
No. I find what I like and I stick to it.
All right. Chapter 28. Her rage took her to a place where she only knew 3 things.
The father.
Shout out to Maas for putting a colon here and not an M-dash.
The Father, the Son, and the Holy Guest Star.
Wait, guest star?
Mm-hmm. That's a Simpsons episode, I believe.
Oh. And the Holy Guest Star. That's good. That Kale had been taken from her. That she was a weapon forged to end lives. And that if Kale was hurt, no one was going to walk out of that warehouse alive. So she set a bit of a high bar for herself because we know Kale is hurt. So if anybody walks out of there alive, she has failed.
Yep.
So everybody know that has been set up. Also, it doesn't seem like she's going to have to pick between Kale and Nehemia.
Yeah.
Because she's out here doing this. I don't know. Maybe she's going to find out while she's leaving the castle, but a wasted opportunity.
Hey, I was guessing.
You were guessing.
Unlike Sarah J. Maas, I don't know what happens in this book. Though I do know some things that happen in this book that I don't think Sarah J. Maas does. So. Namely, that wife being murdered.
Yeah. Naril's wife. Naral. She made it across the city. Okay, so yeah, she's not in the palace anymore. Quickly and efficiently, a predator's stealth keeping her steps quiet on the cobblestone streets. You don't need to keep your steps quiet, madam. It's the city in the daytime. I guess it's evening, but still, you don't need to have quiet steps.
People be moving in the
city. Save your energy. They told her to arrive alone, and she'd obeyed.
Obvious.
You obeyed their demands?
Obedient.
You need to work on being more like the king and not succumbing to the demands of the
scoundrels.
Of scoundrels. But they hadn't said anything about arriving unarmed. It's not very witty, as it turns out. It's not witty. It's not like she's a person who, like, really cares normally about doing exactly what is said. So she'd be like, oh, but on this technicality.
Yeah.
It's just like, So she'd taken every weapon she could fit on her, including Kael's sword, which was strapped across her back with a second sword of her own, the two hilts within easy reach of her shoulders. From there down,
Of
she
her
was a
shoulders?
living armory.
Easy reach of
Over her shoulders.
Oh, I was like, oh, her shoulders grabbing anything?
Yeah, her shoulders via the arms and hands. I don't know. It seems like it might limit your mobility to have that many weapons. To be a living armory. You're not a mangler.
What's a Mangala?
Shout out Beyonders reference. It's one of the wizard-born races. They look kind of insecty, sort of. They look like they're covered in armor. And they've got lots of blades sticking off of their limbs.
Man, I don't remember that at all.
You don't see them much. You don't really see them described. Yeah, they're not really there much. As one of the children of Zokar, I think, their lot in life is rough.
Oh, so they were one of the wizards who lost.
Yeah, they're very much servants of Maldor. That's kind of all they are. Oh, now there's a good book. Acknowledging that it's written for a young audience, but it's good at what it does.
Pretty sure this book wasn't written for a young audience.
It wasn't, yeah.
And it's not very good, in my distinguished opinion.
Yeah, I'm just there's flaws with Beyonders.
Oh yeah.
And you also have to acknowledge it was written for 14-year-old, 12-year-old, because the main characters are 13, 14, or 12, 13. But yeah, it's still good. There's a reasonable amount of depth, at least to conjure thinking more for older people, because it was a side tangent into a totally unrelated book. It was originally written to be 20-something characters, 20-year-old.
Oh really?
Yeah, that's what Brandon Mole originally had the idea for, but he's a child's author, so his publishers were like, this is a great idea. Scale it back. You usually write for 14-year-olds. 12 and 14-year-olds. So, that's what he did.
He clipped his wings.
It was also one of his earliest book ideas. Even though it wasn't published in that order,
really?
It was one of his early ideas.
Yeah, because
I listened to one podcast from someone interviewing him about his series in general. It wasn't just Beyonders.
Yeah, I remember him saying, because I think we listened to him speak at some point.
Mm-hmm.
How this is the only thing I remember with Beyonders is that he wanted to do a fantasy that didn't have classical fantasy things like Fablehaven had.
Mm-hmm.
And he just made up a bunch of weird stuff, and which was super cool, like the Displacers, all the Seed People.
I will say one thing that's nice that I realized, because I'm re-listening to it right now, right? Book 2, my favorite. So it's pretty clear that the Amar Cabal are the elf stand-in.
Yeah.
I'm going to note, I appreciate that they're not Caucasian.
Oh.
They're described, I don't know if it's Islander or
really?
something, but
man.
We don't get much description. We know that they all have dark hair and flat faces.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it could be Pacific Islander, it could be Mongolian and stuff from that area, but I really appreciate that. Mm-hmm. That's really nice to see.
Man, I did not remember that at all.
Yeah. They're straight up, that's the only description we really get, is that they have dark hair and flat faces. And I'm not Caucasian. Thanks. I can't speak to the rest of the main characters. But it was nice to have the elf stand-ins not be white.
Hey, shout out.
Shout out.
I straight up don't remember that every time I've imagined them. Because of my own biases, blah, blah, blah. They've been white. But, hey, slay.
All right. We haven't finished the first page yet. When she neared the slums, her features concealed with dark cloak and heavy hood.
Back to the Amal Cabal for a moment.
Please do.
I was like, oh, what if they were just because saying, oh, they have dark hair and flat faces. I was like, what if they were just white with flat faces, right? And then I was like, what if they were just pug white people? So please just... Anyway, just a silly train of thought, that's all.
Yeah.
I don't play, I slay.
And sachet. Anyways, Back to this book, unfortunately. Her heavy hood. She scaled the side of a ramshackle building until she reached the roof. Thanks for saying that she did it until she reached the roof. I would have thought she stopped when you said she scaled it and reached the roof, not until she reached the roof. So what happens once she reached the roof? She stopped scaling? Did she, like, roll up the roof?
She did. I was like...
Did she walk? Like... Anyways, that was also a paragraph that was a single sentence. Another paragraph that's a single sentence. They hadn't said anything about using the front door of the warehouse either. Again, I feel like that's not needed to have it written that way because she's not someone who often, like, brings up technicalities.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like making it lighter of a situation.
You're like,
which I don't think she would be doing. Because, like, when you're making it lighter, that'd be like, but they didn't say I couldn't. It's like, you know, trying to work your way around something and you're being light about it because you're talking to other people and you want them to feel like it's not a big deal either. So you make it light of it.
Yeah. Just like I do that often.
Yeah. She stalked across the roofs, her supple boots finding easy purchase. So she walked across the cobblestone streets in these supple boots. She walked all the way across the city.
Man.
Her feet are interesting.
I think she has horse feet under that one.
No. Purchased on the crumbling emerald shingles. Emerald shingles?
Yeah, they've mentioned that before. Like, every place in Rifthold has green shingles. Almost every places.
Again, I'm like, why did you have to throw that in? I mean, I guess, okay, you don't have to be sparse with details. I do tend to be a sparse with details person, but okay, it's fine to call the color of the crumbling shingles, I guess. Listening, watching, feeling the night around her, the usual sounds of the slum greeted her as she approached the enormous 2-story warehouse. Half-feral orphans screeching to each other, the splatter of drunks pissing against buildings.
Half-feral orphans?
Yeah. Harlots calling out to prospective hires. Ellipsis. Oh, hold up, everybody, one moment. And here we are back. We just had to take a moment to admire someone's pants that they were sewing.
Yeah.
Not darning, like totally making. That's how cool we are.
Sewing from scratch.
Not quite wove the fibers themselves. They didn't harvest, spin, and
weave the
linen.
But they've done.
But they cut the linen. Or dye the linen.
But they've done practically everything. But they've done everything else.
They've done everything else. All right. Back to the ellipsis after the prospective hires. But there was a silence around the wooden warehouse, a bubble of quiet that told her the place had enough men out front that the usual slum denizens stayed away. Why would she know that they ever normally go there? Perhaps they always avoid it.
I think she should just consider KR a loss and just set the whole thing ablaze.
Yeah.
Like, it's made of water.
Yeah, just light it up. He's lost cause.
Avenge him.
You might get them all this way. Actually, you probably won't get them all unless you do it very strategically.
Just avenge him.
But you'll go out with a bang. Another one-sentence paragraph. The last one was also one sentence. Just a long sentence. The nearby rooftops were empty and flat, the gaps between buildings easily jumpable. She didn't care what this group wanted with her. She didn't care what sort of information they expected to twist from her. When they had taken Kale, they'd made the biggest mistake of their lives. The last mistake, too. Actually, they've had plenty of time since taking him to make more mistakes. Just say it.
Sounds like she's making a mistake with not thinking about what she's doing going into this.
Yeah. She reached another one-sentence paragraph. She reached the roof of the building besides the warehouse and dropped into a crawl before she reached the ledge and peered over. In the narrow alley directly below, 3 cloaked men patrolled. On the street beyond lay the front door of the warehouse, light spilling from the cracks to reveal at least 4 men outside.
She's gonna take them down, no problem.
It's kind of weird to say on the street beyond lay the front doors of the warehouse. Because my first thought was, like, that's a really weird thing to say. And then I was like, well, maybe it's saying that they're broken and, like, laying out in the street. They've been busted open. But then it says, through the cracks, light was spilling. Light was spilling through the... Light spilled from the cracks.
Well...
So that then sounds like it's the cracks in the door. Mm-hmm. Which must then be up if the light is spilling through it.
Yes.
So anyways.
Well, no, you can see, like, you know, there lies lying at the foot of the mountain is the cave, right? Like, it lies across the street. So she's looking across the street to the entrance.
But is this the kind of book where they say that?
You know, maybe.
I don't think they've said stuff like that.
God forbid Sarah J. Maas tries to say something new. Yes.
It sounds like someone was trying to, on this paragraph, avoid passive language. Because they could have said, on the street beyond was the front doors to the warehouse. And they're like, lay. No one was even looking at the roof. Fools. The wooden warehouse was a giant open space 3 stories high, and through the open second level window in front of her, she could see all the way to the floor below. It's a big open warehouse.
What kind of...
The mezzanine wrapped around much of the second level, and stairs led onto the third level and roof beyond, a possible escape route if the front door wasn't an option. 10 of the men were heavily armed, and 6 archers were positioned around the wooden mezzanine, arrows all pointed at the first floor below. There was Kaal. Another one, 3 one-sentence paragraphs in a row. Here we go. There was Kaal chained to one of the wooden walls. Period. New paragraph. Kaal.
Wait. We had to go back to the last chapter. I thought he was chained to stone.
All right. It was a short chapter. Let's go look.
And I think it was...
Oh, plus it wasn't even with him the whole time.
Yeah.
They threatened to beat him.
I think it was at the beginning, I guess.
Yeah, the iron's holding him against the stone wall.
Another time! Man, this is going to be the biggest section of my presentation.
It's the foundations that are stone.
But it said he's chained to the wooden wall.
The stone wall. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah! Chained to one of the wooden wall. They could have moved him, I guess. But, yeah, that's weird. You want the page numbers?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
I guess I'll just put them in my phone.
Page 215 for the, and the irons held him against the stone wall, weren't going to budge. The irons holding him against the stone wall weren't going to budge. So he's chained to a stone wall. And then on page 220, it says, there was Kaal chained to one of the wooden walls.
Anyways, maybe it will, if it turns out they had moved him, like he says they moved me or something, fine. I won't include it.
But it definitely seemed like they were already waiting for her there, because they're like, she hasn't showed up yet.
Mm-hmm. How does this happen? How does this happen?
Yeah. Bloomsberry. Never publishing with Bloomsberry. I mean, I'm never publishing.
Well, mainly that's because I'm never publishing, but still.
What do you mean? I am a published author.
So am I. Not author.
You're not an author. You're a published artist. And let me tell you, what I published did not have these kind of inconsistencies. You know how many times I edited that story? A lot. I'm enjoying the boba. Okay, next one-sentence paragraph. Kaal, his face bruised and bleeding, his clothes ripped and dirty, his head hanging between his shoulders. I will read this very charitably, and like his head's hanging back, like his neck is elastic. Anyways, I leaned my head back a bit aggressively, and I can feel some strain in my neck now.
Someone's neck isn't elastic.
Yeah, mine's not. Another one-sentence paragraph. Here's the third one in a row. The ice in her gut spread through her veins. I mean, I think it had already spread earlier because it was like all-consuming, not just in your gut. She could scale the building to the roof, then come down from the 3rd floor, but that would take time, and no one was looking at the open window before her. She tipped her head back and gave the moon a wicked smile. She'd been called Adelan's assassin for a reason. Dramatic entrances were practically her art form. I don't know. I feel like if you're an assassin, you want to avoid the dramatic entrances so that, you go unnoticed. Just a thought.
Not whole.
She had made a jump like this once before, on the night when her world had been shattered completely. All the parallels. The last time she had drama with a boyfriend. But on that night, Sam had already been dead for days, and she'd left through the window of Rourke Farron's house for pure revenge.
Days?
Yeah,
you know
he'd
what?
Been dead for days.
This is something that I'm not going to contend. I don't think that's what it was said all y'all. That had been days. I don't think so.
Yeah, I thought they came for her the next day.
But I'm not going to fight this one.
Okay.
I don't count enough.
We'd have to. It works so hard to find a specific thing to contradict.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This time she wouldn't fail. That was also a one-sentence paragraph. Like, I'm all fine with one-sentence paragraphs for, like, dramatic effect, but this is kind of a lot.
The drama.
This is a lot, even for me. And I like one-sentence paragraphs. Usually 3 of them right near the end, or, like, near the beginning, but, like, that was a specific style I was doing. But, like, a few one-sentence paragraphs right near the end. Boom, boom, boom. Done.
Period.
Concluded. Mm-hmm. The men weren't even looking at the window when she hurtled through. We already knew they weren't looking at the window. You just told us that. And by the time she landed on the mezzanine and rolled into a crouch, 2 of her daggers were already flying. Unfortunately, 5 arrows were flying too.
It does not say that.
It does not say that. It just said 2 of her daggers were already flying. Are you, like, trying to wash your brush with your spray bottle into your dip cup?
Yes.
It's really funny to watch. I'm sure some of you might hear the spritzing.
Well, I don't feel like getting up and making you stop reading so I can go wash my brush, so I'm just giving it some clean water.
Break in section. Kale caught the glint of moonlight on Still and the heartbeat before she leapt through. He noticed his head was hanging down, and he noticed.
Well, he actually. The reason why she finds him so.
No, wait. Remember, his head's hanging.
The reason
backwards,
why she finds him so attractive is that he is built like a bellow-head fish. So his head's facing down, but his head, his eyes, his bulbous eyes, are still getting light from his transparent dome. So since the light's coming down this way into the eyes, he can still see what's going on up that way. That's because he's part bellow-head fish.
Oh. I wish that was described to us before, but now it makes so much sense.
You know what the bellow...
I know what the bellow-head fish... Once you describe the translucent, I'm like, oh, it's that fish.
It's that motherfucker.
So there's another contradiction. A heartbeat before she leapt through the second-level window, landing atop the mezzanine. Could you pick another word? You have called it mezzanine
Man,
5
I think
times.
I know what a mezzanine is.
Do you mean a catwalk?
I think I know what a mezzanine is.
All right, look it up.
M-E-Z-I-N-E.
Z-I-N-E.
A-N-I-N-E?
Mm-hmm. Mezzanine.
It's an intermediate floor that's between 2 main floors of a building. So,
do you have a picture?
Yeah.
So slightly more constructed than a catwalk.
So I think it's like an indoors balcony.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
But they can be bigger than that picture I showed you.
Yeah. She just keeps saying mezzanine. And hurling 2 daggers at the archers nearest to her. Unfortunately, the archers nearest to her weren't the ones who were about to shoot her, because they're range weapons. They went down, and she went up. 2 more daggers thrown at 2 more archers. He didn't know if he should watch them or watch her, as she gripped the mezzanine twice in one paragraph. Mezzanine is not a word that disappears. as she gripped the mezzanine railing. You didn't have to say mezzanine railing. We knew she was on the mezzanine.
It's just a railing.
And flipped over it, landing on the ground below, just as several arrows struck where her hands had held the rail. So,
well,
the mezzanine is on, like, the floor levels. So this was the second floor.
Yes.
So she just jumped down to the first floor, which conventionally is at least 10 feet.
20 feet.
No, it's 10 feet.
Oh, no, 10 feet, yeah.
Conventionally. I don't know if it's something different here. Could be, but, like...
Parkour.
Can people
do that
safely?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't just, like, land. You have to roll, but people do that in parkour all the time.
All right, let's see if she rolled.
Parkour.
If she didn't rolled...
Selena jumping off. Hardcore parkour.
Flipping over, landing on the ground below just as several arrows hit where she had been. So she landed on the ground. There was no mention of a roll.
Please, let the archers be like, all my buddies are going to shoot where she is. I'm going to shoot where she's going to be. Please.
Yeah.
Please, that would be so nice. Shoot her down like a dog on the highway.
Finally, my terrible aim came in handy. I always aim low.
I'd be more concerned to the person next to who you're aiming to. I'm more
Below
concerned
who you're aiming at.
I'm more concerned about the guy standing next to me.
The men in the room were shouting, some fleeing for the safety of the pillars and the exit, while others rushed at her. Sounds like they're getting away. Weapons drawn, and he could only watch in horror and awe as she drew two swords. One of them his. How sexual. And unleashed herself upon them.
Didn't she say she'd kill all of them?
Yeah.
And of course they're going to have her kill 30 men easy peasy. As if swinging those things around isn't actually going to be tolling on you. And listen. I just don't think... Well, we'll see what happens. Maybe she doesn't kill all of them. But it seems like if you're killing 30 people, unless they really line up for you, some of them, they might try to do 2 for 1. Someone might try to shoot an arrow at you.
She's already got 4, supposedly. We don't know they're dead. They just went down with wounds.
Yeah. Why can't
she threw knives and they went down. Perhaps they ducked.
This is true. Oh, this book.
It's rough. This is another chapter that I think I'm going to be pretty annoyed at by the end. It's building. It's definitely building.
Ah! Show me your face. Ah!
They didn't stand a chance. In the fray of bodies, the remaining 2 archers didn't dare loose arrows that might hit one of their own.
See, this sounds like it's the dead, right?
Yeah.
The bodies.
The remaining 2, yeah.
But also, I don't want to hit one of my own. But she's going to kill all 26 of us.
They care for their buddies. Yeah. They couldn't possibly be the one to kill them.
That's why you have another archer alive. So it's the other archer who did it.
It wasn't me. Our arrows look the same. Oh, I thought you accidentally got ink on your finger.
No,
and I was like,
I did.
Oh, and you decided to use it?
Oh, yeah.
She's finger painting now.
What am I going to do? Pass me a towel, please.
What am I going to do? Wipe it off? That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Not if I put some on my book.
Another intentional move on her part, he knew. Kale yanked on him. How was that intentional? How would she know that they would necessarily do that? Like, they will or they won't do that. I'm not sure you can say that's an intentional move on her part. Kale yanked on his chains again and again, his wrists aching. If he could just get to her, the 2 of them could. She was a whirlwind of steel and blood. As he watched her cut through the men as though they were stalks of wheat in a field, he understood how she had gotten so close to touching Indovir's wall that day. And at last, from all these months, he saw the lethal predator he'd expected to find in the mines. There was nothing human in her eyes, nothing remotely merciful. It froze his heart and hardened his It just said it froze his heart. The guard who had been taunting him all day remained nearby, 2 swords drawn, waiting for her. One of the hooded men had gotten far enough away from her to start shouting, "Enough! Enough!" But Selena didn't listen, and so Kale Oh, and as Kael hurled himself forward, still trying to dislodge the chains from the wall, she cleared a path through the men, leaving moaning bodies in her wake. To his credit, his tormentor stood his ground as she stalked toward him.
She's not killing them. At least says that. She's just like capacity.
So she's not doing what she said she'd do.
Yeah, well, she'll kill him later. Man,
I do actually consider wounds that kill you to be killing. So she could have killed them. They're just not dead yet.
Please, Selena, leave Kael chained to the wall while you kill all these incapacitated men. Mm-hmm. I think that, I think he'd understand you a bit better.
Yeah. Don't shoot, the hooded man was ordering the archers. Don't shoot! Selena paused in front of the guard, pointing a blood-drenched sword at him. Get out of my way, or I'll cut you in pieces. His guard, the fool, snorted, lifting his sword a little higher. Come and get him. Selena smiled, but then the hooded man with the ancient voice was rushing to them, arms spread to show he wasn't armed. Enough! Put down your weapons! He told the guard. The guard faltered, but Selena's sword remained at the ready. The old man took one step toward Selena. Enough! We have enough enemies as it is. There are only worse things out there to face. Selena slowly turned to him, her face splattered with blood and eyes blazing bright. No, there isn't, she said, because I'm here now. I don't know. Seems like she should be the monster that they should kill. I mean, her eyes are blazing. She's covered in blood. She's saying stuff like that. She's a witch. Wow, we've already been here for 31 minutes. Section break. Blood that was not her own drenched her clothes. Yeah, we knew that. You didn't need to tell us that. We know it's not her own blood because she doesn't really get wounded. Her hands, her neck, her drenched her clothes. Her hands, her neck, her T is not even going to yes and me on that at all.
I'm not going to.
But oh my gosh, here comes Mezzanine again. But all she could do...
See, I hear mezzanine, and I think, very well. Mom Jean's on the mezzanine, or something like that.
But all she could see were the archers ready on the mezzanine above her, and the foe still standing between her and Kael. Her Kael.
Yay, okay, so you like to get possessed. Keep it in the bedroom.
Please, the hooded man said, pulling off his hood and mask to reveal a face that matched his ancient voice. Short-cropped white hair, laugh lines around his mouth, and crystal-clear gray eyes that were wide with pleading. Perhaps our methods were wrong, but she pointed a sword at him and cut him down. I don't care who you are and what you want.
You're lying.
Yeah, you're right. She pointed a sword at him, and the masked guard between her and Kael straightened. I don't care who you are and what you want. I'm taking him now. Please listen, the old man said softly. She could feel the ire and aggression rolling off the hooded guard in front of her, see how tightly, eagerly he clutched the hilts of his twin swords. She wasn't ready for the bloodletting to end either. She wasn't ready to give it in at all. So she knew exactly what would happen when she turned to the guard and gave him a lazy grin. He charged. As she met his swords, the men who were beside burst in, still the men who were outside burst in, still flashing. And then there was nothing but metal ringing and the shouts of the injured going down around her, and she was soaring through them.
How is she this good? How can she just fight 30 people and not get exhausted, not get tired, not feel the fact that she dropped at least 10 feet?
She was literally emaciated prisoner 6 months ago. I wouldn't say she's at peak athletic condition. Except she is, because she's Selena Sardothian, and she's actually an elf. I mean, a fae.
Listen. If you just make your darling, precious protagonist not struggle at all, how is she going to have any challenges? Well, all the stakes.
Literally. We've been over this. She's not good at making stakes.
Sarah J. Maas, fucking kill your lovelies, okay?
Kill your lovelies?
Don't make her as powerful. Give her actual challenges. Make this, something that she had to, come up with, a plan quickly, looking into the window. And pray to God that she can do it. Make her desperate. Not just, I'm so pissed off. And I don't want the bloodletting. And
Oh! Beta man, and I'm once again going to remain unscathed. Anyways, and she was soaring through them, delighting in the feral song that sang through her blood and bones.
I don't think I can read I don't think I can read the next book. I don't know if I can read the rest of this book.
Not even with me.
I'm in agony.
I understand. Someone was shouting her name, though, a familiar voice that wasn't Kael's, and as she turned, she saw a flash of steel-tipped arrows shooting for her, then a glint of golden brown hair, and Archer hit the ground.
No! Bud, what are you doing here?
The arrow that was meant for her in his shoulder. Bit more muffling. We're still picking that up loud and clear.
This is so stupid. Archer, she's going to kill you. Archer!
Like, literally, why does he care this much about her? What, does he know that she's the heir and so she is important? Anyways, let's continue. I think T has become despondent. Archer hit the ground, the arrow that was meant for her in his shoulder. It took all of 2 movements to drop one sword and draw the dagger from her boot, hurling it at the guard who had fired. By the time she looked at Archer, he was getting to his feet, putting himself between her and the wall of men, one arm splayed in front of her, facing her.
Oh.
Protecting the men.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah!
I'm a little confused about, why he took that arrow. I'm sure he's trying to, work both sides.
I mean, it seems like they really want her alive.
That too.
Which it seems like this would be a lot more of a keep away and not going up to fight her.
Yeah.
Fucking stupid god. What is he? Did no one decide on what the plan was? They had so much time after they got KO.
Literally, if this was set up differently, so like it was a different strategy for her to get in, Maas could have had it be like, we get to see more of the fighting, like maybe she's taking people down one at a time as she works through the building, and like they don't want to people are like trying to let her through or something, but like it's not quite clear that that's what they're doing. She's just like, they're avoiding fighting and I have to like really get them.
Yeah, like they don't want to be killed by her, but she's really trying to kill them. And she's not listening to like whatever they try to say, because she's just got that fury in her.
Like, you could have her get injured or, like, mess up, and someone could have killed her, but then they didn't, and then she killed them.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, in the moment, since it was Maas, I'd probably be like, that's so lame. But, like, then you could see as it builds up. Also, the kind of author who would do that wouldn't probably have inspired all the same ire that I already have towards Maas. Anyways, just saying.
Just saying.
This is a misunderstanding, he said to her, panting. Blood from the wound in his shoulder leaked down his black robes. Robes? The same robes that these men wore. Archer was part of this group. Archer had set her up.
Hey, you did say, if Archer, they know like she's like with Kael because of Archer. But they haven't said that yet. They haven't said it yet. There's still a chance not for you to have to clap once.
That's right. I'm not being generous with my claps.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Maas has to prove it.
Yeah.
And then the rage that blurred the events of the night she'd been captured with the events of this night, that made Kael's and Sam's faces bleed together, seized her so fiercely that she reached for another dagger strapped to her wrist. That was 4 lines.
Strapped to her wrist?
Yeah.
How is she gonna bend her wrist when she has a big ass dagger strapped to it?
Oh, it's strapped up her forearm, actually.
But it said to her wrist.
Just above her wrist.
I hate this stupid book.
Yeah. Please, Archer said, taking a step towards her, wincing as the movement made the arrow shift. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I imagined the arrow sticking out of him, and then I instantly imagined Celebrimbor from Rings of Power when he's just like a pincushion. He's got an arrow in each shoulder. He's got like arrows in his legs, and he moves. So you see the arrow just moving, and it's just ridiculous. I'm sorry. How much longer on this chapter? I guess we'll just make a long recording. Okay. Oh, let me explain. As she saw the blood trickle down his robes. So they're black. You're not really going to see the blood trickling down. Also, unless they're water resistant, it wouldn't really trickle. It would seep. Mm-hmm. Saw the agony and fear and desperation in his eyes. Her rage flickered. Not very good rage. Unchain him, she said, her voice filled with deadly calm. Now. Archer refused to break her stare. Hear me out first. Unchain him now!
Why are they keeping him chained? It seemed like they should have been like, here's a fruit basket.
Here's a fruit basket.
Here's a chair. We will stab you if you try to run.
Leave,
like,
but you can sit right here. We've got another chair for your lady friend when she shows up.
Oh, you got Cocoa Melon. It's like, you want to wait.
Archer jerked his chin to the guard who had foolishly launched the last attack against her, limping but surprisingly still in one piece, and still possessing his twin blades. So she didn't do that good of a job when she said she was soaring through them. The guard slowly unshackled the captain of the guard.
This is so dumb! Why did they just begin with that? Keep reading.
Kale was on his feet in an instant, but she noted the way he swayed, the wince he tried to hide. Still, he managed to stare down the hooded guard who stood before him, eyes gleaming with the promise of violence. The guard just stepped back, reaching for his swords again. You have one sentence to convince me not to kill you, she said to Archer as Kale came to her side.
This is Archer's sentence.
One sentence.
This is Archer.
Fuck yourself.
This is Archer's sentence.
The schmolder. Sexy Squidward.
Oh my god.
Well, a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah, literally.
Archer began shaking his head, looking between her and Kale, his eyes filled not with fear or anger, or pleading, but sorrow.
Sorrowing. Are you signing?
I read the next line. I'm just disappointed. I have been working with Nehemia to lead these people for the past 6 months.
I wish I said something! I was totally thinking about Nehemia being connected to this. Oh, why didn't I say it? I should have spoke up.
Some calming boba. Okay, it is kind of funny if, like, they're working with Nehemia and them doing this now leaves Nehemia undefended and she dies. Chaos stiffened, but Selena blinked. It was enough for Archer to know he'd passed the test. He jerked his head to the men around him. Leave us, he said, his voice thundering with an authority she hadn't heard him use before.
No,
Where's my soft guy who's just really big?
Where's my
pathetic
really little masculine hall?
Yeah.
Hey, at least he had a reason for staying. Good.
Yeah. At least there was a reason. Ready. I heard the clap echo off of some metal. It had that, that loud sound that happens when you clap near metal.
Mm-hmm. One clap.
The men listened, those still on their feet, dragging their injured companions away.
See, this just seems like a terrible way to do it.
Yeah, she didn't let herself consider how many were dead. She didn't let herself... Girl, barely a moment ago, you were like, I'm gonna kill them all. They're all fucking dead.
I'm gonna kill them so bad that they'll... I'm gonna kill them so bad they'll go to super hell.
Oh, so now you're back to being like, oh yes, murdering is the most terrible thing in the possible ever to do. Oh, I'm such a terrible, terrible person. Oh. The old man who had exposed his face to her was staring with a mixture of awe and disbelief, and she wondered what sort of monster she looked like at that moment. But when he noticed her attention, he bowed his head to her and left with the others, taking that impulsive, brash guard with him. I sure hope that's not going to be the future love interest. I'm sure it's supposed to be a Faye thing.
I hate this so much. I hate this so much.
Yeah, this was...
I hate this.
This was, like, set up to be the worst possible way. Just so that, like, Selena could have some time to be, like, OP and kill people. Isn't she so great?
I hate this.
Yeah. Literally. I know people who write for free, for fun, who write better than this. I know multiple people. Well, I say no. I'm aware of them. They're not aware of me. Mostly.
Unless.
I mean, they're kind of aware of me. They've acknowledged me. Anyways.
Yeah, then they know you.
Alone, she pointed her sword at Archer again, taking a step closer, keeping Kael behind her. Of course, the captain of the guard stepped right up to her side. Archer said, "Nehemia and I have been leading this movement together. She came here to organize us, Imdash, to assemble a group that could go into Terrasen and start gathering forces against the king, and to uncover what the king truly planned to do to Aurelia." Kael tensed, and Selena clamped down on her surprise. "That's impossible!" You draw the line there at impossible? Why is that impossible, Selena? Huh? You already know Nehemia's doing stuff. But, oh, that's right, you don't think about her outside of how she helps you, really. So, yeah, she's definitely not doing other stuff. About what that thing she's so passionate about that you were just talking to her about in your last conversation.
This is true.
This is also true. Archer snorted. "Is it? Why is it that the princess is so busy all the time? Do you know where she goes at night?" "Not your bed."
Rolls the pin.
The frozen rage flickered again, slowing the world down. Again, the repeating of the word. And then she remembered, remembered how Nehemia convinced her not to look into the riddle she'd found in Davis's office. Yeah, because you were an absolute idiot and were just like, "Oh yeah, whatever you say goes. You're right. Also, I don't want to believe it's anything." In Davis's office, and had been so slow and forgetful about her promises to research the riddle. Remembered the night Dorian had come to her room because Nehemia had been out and he hadn't been able to find her anywhere in the castle. Remembered Nehemia's words to her before their fight about how she had important matters in Rifthold to look after, things as important as Elwë. That was all one sentence. It was. Now, granted, it was one sentence, but it was a semicolon separated list. So
I think that's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. It doesn't even end with a period, though. It ends with an ellipsis. She comes here, Archer said. She comes here to feed us all of the information that you confide in her. If she's part of your group, Selena ground out, then where is she? Archer drew his word. Archer drew his word and pointed at Kael. Drew his word?
What is a wad?
Do you mean drew his sword? That doesn't make sense either. Drew his word. Like, if we already had, like, a metaphor going about, words being sharper than swords or something, like, maybe we could see that if it was a bit more of a
drew his wad.
Eloquent book that used metaphors like that.
Drew his wad.
Drew his word and pointed it at Kael. Is this just a typo that also got past Bloomsberry Publishing?
Okay, we'll have to see.
Granted, almost every book I've read has had a typo.
Yeah, but
this is now, like, all kinds of things that have gotten past their editing. Anyways, drew his word, which I'm going to interpret as dick. most ungraciously and pointed it at Kaol. Ask him.
Don't do that to Archer.
You're right, no. You're right, this is Archer. He drew his sword. He drew his finger.
He has a... Wait, is it spelled with a Y? Or is it W-O-R-D?
Word, as in sword, but they forgot the S.
That's right. What book doesn't have a typo? Like, all these pages, one typo, right? Which one doesn't? But...
You know what else this book has?
Everything.
Contradictions in so many chapters. This boba, really sweet.
I forgot that you could say...
I've never asked for less sugar, I don't think.
Well, you can.
Maybe I will next time.
I usually do. I never get full sugar, full sweetness.
Granted, it looks like it should be a very sweet drink. I do like that. Anyways, let's continue. Let's finish this chapter. Can we finish in the next 10 minutes?
This ice just won't melt.
You've got ice that won't melt. A sharp pain twisted in her gut. What is he talking about? She asked Kaol, but Kaol was staring at Archer.
And then,
I don't know.
Of course, she'll find out that Kaol lied.
Lying bastard.
Didn't tell him. Didn't tell her. And they're gonna have a falling out because Nehemia died over it. But also, what the hell are these people doing kidnapping them?
Nah, yeah, it's not well thought out.
Like, couldn't Nehemia be like, okay, I'm gonna take you someplace? Well, I'm sure she probably would have told her. Like, I'm sure Nehemia was going to talk to Selena about this rebellion and then, like, introduce them.
Yeah, and then that didn't work. So then they're scrambled and put something together. So shoddy. Like a melody in my head.
And how many people of the party died because of this?
None that we know of.
That's so true.
Selena didn't even do that. She literally started the chapter by saying, here's the 3 things that I know. Lying bastard. Archer snapped and bared his teeth with savagery. I don't want him to be savage.
Why does he have to be like literally every other man in this book?
Yeah.
Why can't he be... Oh, she's gonna kill me. I have to get out of here. Georgina, please.
Georgina, please.
Georgina, you're the only one I can trust.
Yeah. With savagery that made him, for once, look anything but attractive.
I think she would be into savagery. I'm just saying.
Just saying.
Like, she should be like, yeah, he's not attractive. He makes me hotter than Georgia in July. Whew.
My sources told me that the king informed you over a week ago of the threats to Nehemia's life. When were you planning on telling anyone about that? He turned to Selena. We brought him here because he was ordered to question Nehemia about her behavior. We wanted to know what kind of questions he'd been commanded to ask, and because we wanted you to see what sort of man he really is.
How is this going to, like, get her on your side?
Literally.
Like, oh, you beat up my booty call? You beat it up? You beat up my boyfriend, dude? Man. I was making vicious, quick stabbing motions.
Quick and vicious. Like a cat.
Everybody knows shit's fucked.
That's not true, Kaol spat. That's a damn lie. You haven't asked me one thing. You gutter born piece of filth. He turned pleading eyes to Selena. The words were still sinking in, each more awful than the next. I knew about the anonymous threat to Nehemia's life, yes, but I was told that she would be questioned by the king, not me.
Oh, we're almost done.
Oh my gosh. Archer, you're not winning any points. This is no longer the same Archer.
Yeah, I can see why our cousin I can potentially see why our cousin was like, yeah, I liked him too. Archer, like Archie, like.
And we realized that, Archer said, moments before you arrived, Selena, we realized the captain wasn't the one. But it's not questioning that they're going to be doing tonight, is it, Captain? Kaol didn't answer, and she didn't care why. She was pulling away from her body, inch by inch, like a tide ebbing from the shore. I just sent men to the castle a moment ago. Archer went on. Perhaps they can stop it. Why didn't you send them earlier?
Because they didn't realize it.
Where is Nehemia?
In the castle.
She heard herself asking from lips that felt far away. That's what my spy discovered tonight. Nehemia insisted on staying in the castle to see what kind of questions they wanted to ask her. Kind of dumb. To see how much they suspected and knew Imdash. Where is Nehemia? But Archer just shook his head, his eyes bright with tears. They aren't going to question her, Selena. And by the time my men get there, I think it'll be too late. Too late. Selena turned to Kaal. His face was stricken and pale. Archer shook his head again. I'm sorry.
Anybody
That
else?
concludes. Thus ends the 5th battle.
Okay, what
By the treachery of Maas, the book was lost. Night fell and darkness fell and great was the
triumph of evil. And then it goes on. But the bright stars and a new day shall shine again.
Not on this book, it won't.
No, literally.
All right, we got one more chapter to read. Everyone, okay, concluding thoughts. Bloomsberry Publishing, don't publish with them. If anyone is thinking of publishing, don't publish with Bloomsberry Publishing.
And I get
because
unless I guess they're your only option.
Unless they're your only option, in which case, get published. Hope you make some money. Go for it. Just be aware that they let crap like this pass by them. Blatant contradictions within a chapter, within 7 pages of each other. Blatant contradictions. Typos, but I mean, that happens to everyone. But and terrible writing like this.
What was the honor? Where's the respect for your brand name?
Where is the honor? All right. That's my takeaway. Also, this chapter got me worked up again. Not nearly as much as 14. 14 was oh my gosh, this is it for me. I might actually have a conniption. This one got pretty worked up. Second most worked up chapter, I think. All right.
I didn't like it. Forever now, there will be the Archer as I want him to be.
Mm-hmm.
And he has already left Rifthold. That's all I can say.
Identical twin brother.
This is the Archer. I care about the Archer who left. This Archer, I don't hate him, but he has been butchered by the way Sarah J. Maas writes met him.
Can Maas please just not assassinate a character?
Leave him alone!
We know she does it in ACOTAR. Could she please not assassinate
Archer?
the only decent characters? All right. We got to read another chapter, so we'll cut it here.
I gotta go brush my